IPMNation.com.
All Natural Being. Warning, All Natural Being with Brawdy is designed to shake your sense of self to the core.
It's full contact psychology with an empowering twist, a philosophical loofah for your soul.
For those of you not ready or comfortable releasing your inner superhuman, listener discretion is advised.
Here's your host,
Brawdy.
Welcome to All Natural Being. I'm Brian Brawdy, as the announcer says, coming to you live from the Metropolitan Co-working Space here in soon-to-be rain-drenched downtown Aurora, Illinois. You know, I'm sitting here this morning, as I do every morning, preparing for the show, and it's been raining good bit overnight. It looks like it's just getting ready to pour out, and I'm encouraged to see the city truck coming by and watering the hanging flower pots. So apparently even when it rains, even when there's like 100% chance of rain right where I'm sitting, we're still going to come out and water the pots, the flower pots. So I don't know if that's good or bad, just is a little bit of an observation. Welcome again to All Natural Being. Day 48, 2 months ago today, we kicked this off. I'm very thankful that we are the number one show. Very grateful to you, the listener, for making us the number one show on IPMNation.com. And now we're going to be able to listen every morning, every weekday morning, 7 to 8 a.m. Eastern. And let me see here. We're going to be rebroadcasting the show 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And now added, starting today, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So be able to hook up with us 3 times throughout the day here on IPMNation.com. Also, of course, we have the broadcast on demand, right? The library on demand. And over at iTunes as well, you can check us out over there. If you have an opportunity, if you have a iTunes account, that's something that you're into, then by all means check out the podcast and learn why I think, as I say every morning, that we are the number one show now for 2 months, number one since its debut, because it's a show about you. Not the inauthentic you, but the real you. Not the embarrassed you, but the real you. The you that knows you're capable of almost anything. So Monday through Friday, it's my job. Come in, hang out, and simply remind you of who you are. Simply hold a mirror up so that you can look at it and go, oh, all right, that makes sense to me. Now I get it, my all-natural being, my inner superhuman. That's my gig, and I love it. It's a fantastic gig. To remind you where you come from, that you are an individual packet of the universal pristine, a fractal of that universal energy. It's not always easy to remember that, but that doesn't negate its truth. That's why it's natural, not normal. It may not be normal in your life for you to embrace that, but most certainly you can naturally. So how do we go about that? It's a memory. That's all it is. It's remembering who you already are. This morning's anaerobic aphorism. You define liberating because you condone the chains. We hold ourselves back. We just do anything we can to keep ourselves from reconnecting with our all-natural being. You have to ask yourself, why is that? Why has it become normal to neglect ourselves? Why can't we have a life that thrills us? Why can't we? I think a part of it is we're embarrassed to be wrong. We're worried that if we take a position or a stance, we could be wrong. We could be wrong. That might not be right. And because of that fear of being wrong, we keep ourselves chained. Every opportunity you have to jump into the labyrinth is another opportunity to be wrong. But within it is also the opportunity to be right. To venerate yourself, to have reverence for yourself. No more neglecting yourself. No more putting yourself on the back shelf. No more condoning your chains. Liberating yourself is a mindset. Thankfully, you have a fallback plan, right? You can fall back on your all-natural being, yes? Of course you can. And when we embrace the ability to be wrong, and in that moment we ask ourselves, if we're wrong, so what? So what? We took a shot. Didn't work out the way we thought. We stumbled. We fell. We get back up, shake off the chains, liberate ourselves, no more neglecting ourselves. We go at it again. Because we don't want to be like so many of the people that die years before, decades before. So many people that die decades before a group of guys digs a hole in the ground to bury them in. If you know anything about my story, this started, 30 plus years ago now. Being called to the scene of my father's suicide in an attempt, with the only formal education I truly ever really had, was as a cop. So my investigation began 3 decades ago as to what would compel a human mind to take its own life. What has to happen to a human mind to go ahead and vote for its end? And I can tell you, after 30 years of study, comparative religion, philosophy, psychology, the classics, mythologies from all over the world. And I guess I'm a little bit blessed with a voracious appetite to read almost anything, but I'm constantly trying to figure out what makes us tick. And after 30 years, I can tell you that there is absolutely a precursor to biological suicide. And that precursor is a philosophical suicide. We pack it in long before they put us in the ground. Now, for some, those interested in reuniting, if you will, with their all-natural being, they're like, I don't want that to be me. Every chance is a second chance to go, I'm going to rewrite the next portion of my life. I'm going to remember who I am. I'm going to release my inner superhuman. And then I will have the life that thrills me. We have to have the courage to be wrong from time to time. Not be so thin-skinned, not worried about what everyone else thinks. Oh, Brian was wrong. Stick around. The hour's young. Right? We'll be wrong again. But if we can't laugh at ourselves, then we chain ourselves. If we can't give ourselves the flexibility to learn at every turn, and all learning is doing it wrong. And then maybe 1 out of a dozen times it's right, there's the learning curve. You're taught how to do a particular type of math. You're taught anything. Chances are pretty good 95% of the time in the very beginning you're going to be wrong. So what? True courage comes from standing up and going, yeah, I was wrong, but I'm back in the fray. I'm bringing it again. Because if we don't, then we chain ourselves. Our liberation comes when we agree, no, I'm not going to be held to the static quo. Other people want to think I'm wrong. God love them. Good for them. I'm not interested in their opinion. These walking, talking Venus flytraps in our lives. So convinced that what we're doing isn't what we should be doing. So all we do, go, yeah, I might be wrong. But at least I have the courage to get back up and do it again. So let me ask you, for your 20-minute victory today, how about if we got our journal, our logbook, our evidence book, our blotter, whatever you're calling yours. I have mine right here. You can hear that. How are some ways that you could be wrong? What are some of the things that you set out today, whatever time of day you're listening, whatever time of day, what are some of the things? If you're listening in the evening, what were some of the things that you were wrong about today? Now, the egoic mind is going to pop up and go, oh, what an idiot. You were wrong. But you know that's not the case. That's just a soundtrack. You're a sound editor. I don't know if I mentioned this story yesterday, but I want to do it again today because I have a blast doing it. There's a local grocery store. And in the grocery store, there is a, what would you call it? Like an entranceway, right? Maybe it's only 30 feet long, maybe 40 feet long from left to right. But you enter one particular set of doors, outside doors, and then there's this 30-foot runway, if you will, and there's a set of interior doors. Well, right smack dab in the middle is a park bench. And as my friends know, I'll sit on that bench from time to time watching different people walk by. Here comes one, here comes the other. Here comes another group, here comes an individual. And it's the perfect practice for me to realize that's what thoughts are like in the mind. Ashley and I were sitting on the river the other day looking out, and just bubbles or a duck or a stray branch. It just floats by. You know, I know it's terribly cliche to say, oh, time's like a river. That's not what I'm talking about. You just sit there and you watch, okay, here comes a duck. Just floats by. Squawking away, making all kinds of racket. But in a couple minutes, it's gone. Whoosh, just gone. And that's what we can do with our fear of worry. Worried that we're going to be wrong. Well, if we are, floats by like the duck. There it goes. See you later. Good luck finding another duck. Like every other duck we saw that day had a mate. This one duck, just floating around by itself. There it goes. Off on the adventure. And that's what meditation gives us. Now, there's all kinds of proof now, and we'll get that at the bottom of the hour, all kinds of proof about what meditation does to the actual nomenclature, the actual structure of our brains. But let's look at it philosophically for a second. Meditation just teaches us to watch the ducks float by. That's all it is. I wish there were more. I wish there were a bigger, do this, do that. You want to go on a retreat? Great. Because all you're going to do at a meditation retreat is watch the ducks float by. It's no more hocus pocus. No more mashugana than that. Meditation teaches you to watch the ducks float by. That's the power. So what say you and I set out today? No more neglecting ourselves. Why can't it be you that's happy, that's fulfilled, that's successful, that's just plain thrilled to be who you already are? Oh, well, we need more growth. We need to get to a higher consciousness. Well, we don't really. Because you're at the higher level of consciousness right now. You've just forgotten it. You're already there in terms of the growth, the overall growth. You're there. You just have to remember it. You think of a tree. However big it is, however thick its bark, it still has its all-natural being at the center of the tree. And that's like you. It's in you. And that's what I love about the labyrinth of life. Just the plain fluke, the serendipity, the coincidence, just the freak opportunities that present themselves when you go, I could be wrong, but I'm going to give this thing a shot. I'm going to read this book. I'm going to try this or that. I'm going to hang and go over here, or I'm going to go over there. And when the egoic mind goes, oh, you could be wrong, you don't want to do that, then we chain ourselves off. We tie ourselves down. We imprison ourselves from the natural fluke, coincidence, serendipity, Jung's synchronicity. The psychiatrist Carl Jung, and his sense of synchronicity. That's something about to happen, that improv of it all. And when you and I are worried about being wrong, we're worried that what will people think? We're going to be embarrassed if we're wrong. Not a lot of liberation in that. We block ourselves off from the fluke, from the serendipity, from the coincidence, from just the beauty of being dropped in the labyrinth. And people say, oh, life is really tough. And I suspect in some situations it is. It is for me. But think of all the beings that were never put here. Think of all the beings that didn't broker the deal to manifest their destiny. Think of all the beings that fate will never get to take a shot at. Why? Because they were never put here. They were never born. All that untold energy. That never congealed to be the person that you are. That'll never know the thrill. That have never had a minute in the labyrinth. So we worry. We're embarrassed. But ultimately, that embarrassment is a part of the egoic mind, not a part of the all-natural being. All-natural being can't be embarrassed, can't be offended. You know, it's getting impossible to watch the news anymore. Just in the city of Chicago, the number, I think my son said to me last evening he had heard a report that there were more people shot this weekend in the city of Chicago than were shot in a particular time frame in the Iraq War. Everyone's so thin-skinned. Everyone's so ready to harm another human being. Oh, well, he said horrible things, or he did this, or if I let this happen, then that will happen. I'm not going to be embarrassed like that. Look what it's come to. Where people have no respect for the life of another. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that you can't have respect for another person because you don't have respect for yourself. You can't really, willingly want to harm another person if you're neglecting yourself first. So what can you and I do about it? We can start by releasing our inner superhuman. We can start by going, okay, today, I could be wrong, but I'm going to try knitting. I'm going to try dancing. I'm going to try kickboxing. I'm going to try a new language. I'm going to try, well, it's just endless. I'm going to make a new dish for dinner. I'm going to pass on a favorite dish for dinner. Right? Could be wrong. Don't know. Who am I? It's above my pay grade to be able to predict the future. I'm not going to be embarrassed because I tried something that didn't work. And it's the embarrassment thing that really grabs me, because we can never be liberated if we feel like we can be embarrassed. People say, don't you ever worry about what some others are going to think about you sitting on that park bench just with your head moving left to right? No, because I couldn't care less. Our fear of embarrassment holds us back. Our fear of being wrong, because if we're wrong, people are going to point, people are going to look at us, people are going to criticize us. We were wrong. It's important in life to be right. Always got to be right, always got to be correct. It's baloney. Talk about a crock of BS. If you look at science, and most certainly art, all the different times they were wrong before the one time they were right. You have the same ability to do that. You have the same ability to venerate yourself, have reverence for yourself. And it begins by having the courage to be wrong. And maybe just do it for 20-minute victory today, 1/72 of your day. How could you be wrong? And then wait to figure out, yeah, I may have been wrong, but what a fluke. What a coincidence. This is the right that I've been waiting for all this time. Because you deserve that. 48 days now, 2 months, I've been getting up, coming in, for the sole purpose of being able to remind you not only of who you are, but what you're ultimately capable of, what we're all ultimately capable of. And as we go and say, we don't have to die years before the caretaker digs our hole in the ground. We don't have to be subject to a philosophical suicide, which is the precursor to a biological suicide. We don't have to do that. We don't have to subjugate ourselves to all the negative stress. Good stress? Absolutely. Give me another helping. The stress of being wrong? Yeah, let's take a little bit of that. Let's see what happens. Let's give it a shot. We'll be right back.
IPMNation.com.
You know, IPMNation.com, I want to thank Matt. I want to thank Jen for everything that they've done, all the things they've done to kind of get me ramped up here. As if you've been listening, you know, I've never done a radio show before. I've been a guest on a radio show before, but I've never done anything like this, so I'm still in the process. Talk about being wrong. I'm still in the process of the learning curve. Yes, of all the different things that I have to try. And oh, good golly, we've got a lot coming next week. If you get a chance, go over to allnaturalbeing.com, allnaturalbeing.com. Leave me your email. I'll trade you emails. I'll send you an email back. A lot of people hanging out over there. I'll let you know about the up-and-coming television, or I guess like the video broadcast is a better way to put it, but the video broadcast of All Natural Being, how we're going to be doing that. And then also, there was something else I wanted to tell you right there. Oh, you know, as always, you can reach me, 331-684-7685, 331-684-SOUL, S-O-U-L, starting next week. So what's today, like Wednesday? So starting next week, we're going to be taking calls. So you can literally call in. Now, talk about a challenge. Since I'm the guy working my own board, you're going to be calling in, and we'll be hanging out. See how that goes. Then on the TV version, the video broadcast version, we'll be adding Skype fairly soon. So you can call in. You may want to be on Skype. Hang out at All Natural Being. We can kick some of this stuff around together. Remind each other why there's never a need to neglect ourselves for another moment. And always ask yourself, why not me? Why couldn't I have that kind of life? Why couldn't I do those types of things? It's absolutely in me. So why do we chain ourselves? Well, past baggage. We've got to admit to that. A little bit of fear. We don't want to be embarrassed. You know, if you look at the biology of being embarrassed, the biology and the psychology of being embarrassed, it comes from a time, a long time ago, when we were afraid that if people turned their backs on us, that people laughed at us, that people, if people were embarrassed for us, it means we were going to be ostracized from the gang, from the clique, from the herd, from the tribe, from the crowd. And we knew chances of survival were pretty slim if our clan moved on without us. If our pack, our gang, the group that we were with, our extended family, if they ostracized us, we were in big trouble. So that's left over. That's a part of the baggage that you got before you even got here, right? So you and I just don't have baggage that started accumulating the day we were born. We have some genetically inherited baggage, right? Or you wouldn't have the flight or flight syndrome. You wouldn't have fear of what do they say? You're born with the fear of falling and the fear of a loud, sudden noise. You wouldn't have any of that if at some level it wasn't genetically encoded. So much the same, you've got some baggage that you're not even responsible for. So we don't have to worry about being embarrassed. It's a leftover remnant. Like your appendix, I guess. Some other different vestigial, leftover organs of the human body, leftover ideas, attitudes, templates, mental templates that don't support us anymore. We can run the risk of being embarrassed. We can run the risk of being wrong because it's not going to cut us out of the herd. It's not going to move on without us. And in this day and age, there's no reason for us to worry about that. It's old school. Gauche, we could say. So from time to time, be wrong. Go out. Do what you have to be wrong. Because on the other side of that accumulation of wrongs is going to be your right. It was an article that I wanted to get to before we get to the bottom of the hour. Oh, don't forget too, allnaturalbeing.com. Head on over. Trade me emails. We'll be picking in just 2 days, Friday morning. We'll be choosing the winner of next week's 20-minute victory. Had a great 20-minute victory yesterday. The winner, I think I've mentioned her name before, but the winner, Tammy, I hang out. Great time. Really something else. So I look forward to having the opportunity to hang out with you in the future. So if you've shared a post, if you drop me an email, if you retweet a tweet, I guess there's a whole scientific litmus test of what it takes for your name to be added to the list. But if you're into that, you'll get a text or an email or a call from me going, hey, I'd just like to hang out. We'll do our own 20-minute victory together, just you and me. So don't forget, sign up, and we'll pick a new name on Friday. All right, the article that I was interested in, caught my eye, is from the Vancouver Sun. I love the Vancouver Sun. I love that area of the country. So this particular article deals with meditation and what it actually does to the human brain. And according to the article written by, let me make sure I give her the credit, Michelle Campbellis. Michelle Campbellis, who was a columnist for The Sun. She says, quote, open any scientific journal and you'll see studies that report meditation's benefits on just about everything from anxiety management to kids' academic scores to ADHD management and reducing physical and emotional pain. It has even been shown to drop crime rates. Yes, meditation seems to be something of a miracle cure, end quote. So this study, as she refers in her article, the study by Harvard neuroscientist Sarah Lazar, she's one of the first researchers to show that meditation doesn't only improve mind-body health, but that it actually changes your brain. We're talking about how your attitudes rewire actual portions of your brain. How it increases the volume in certain areas of your brain by simply paying attention. But we talked this morning about the shootings in Chicago over the weekend, the long holiday weekend. But it says here that even been shown to drop crime rates. Why is that? Because when we meditate, we reconnect our little individual satellite post office of pristine with the universal pristine, the underlying recognition that I and the other are one. Of course the crime rates are going to drop. Of course they're going to drop. Because it's that recognition of the universal pristine. And then she gives a whole list of things that you can do to start in terms of meditating, what you can do. And as you and I have talked quite a bit, you can cultivate a man cave, a woman cave. You can cultivate that place that you like to hang out, or it can come impromptu. You might be walking down the street. All of a sudden something grabs you. That's the fluke. That's the serendipity. That's the coincidence. You just got a text to remind everyone. Edison found 1,000 ways not to make the light bulb. Thank you for that. Absolutely right. Edison and his team, 1,000 ways, no light. He most certainly had the courage to be wrong. I don't know if I've never read if he was embarrassed 1,000 times. Pretty sure that wasn't in his makeup. When we find our comfortable place or it happens to us impromptu, meditation is a great ego shield. It's a great buffer between those portions of us that would go, oh no, it's going to be embarrassing. I like to go out in a street corner and act nuts anytime I can. Just to remind me. Nah, really not worried about the opinions of the people around me. I don't want to be offensive. I don't want to be intrusive. I don't want any of those things. It just dawned on me. Maybe next time I'll go to an intersection here in town, and when the little light comes on that says walk, I'll holler out walk. I'll be like a town crier. Because any little exercise you and I can do to show, that was embarrassing. Well, so what? Did it kill me? No. Sharp stick in the eye? No. Not all that bad. A couple of passers-by smiled. That was about it. It's one of the reasons I love to go out for runs in the morning. People say, well, how far do you run? And I go, well, I try to get 15 good mornings in. And people go, what? And I go, yeah, I love saying good morning to someone I pass because it totally stuns them. And people say, oh, I would be too embarrassed. I couldn't say good morning to a complete stranger. A little bit of a side note. You know what else I love to do? You want to freak some people out? And I mean really freak them out? I always, when I get up to a stop sign at an intersection or, one of those, maybe you're even in a parking lot of a grocery store and I'm driving, I always motion with my hand, kind of put it out in front of me and go, no, you first. And look at the freaked out look on people's faces when you're not gunning the stop sign to try to beat them through the intersection. I go, no, after you. That freaks people out. And that always puts a smile on my face. Like saying good morning to people that weren't expecting it. Like, oh, I'd be too embarrassed. I couldn't say hello to a complete stranger. I just like the look on their faces. Much the same as when you open the door for someone going in somewhere. They're like, what? You don't want anything? No, just open in the door. Have a nice day. All right, let's get back to the meditation. You find that comfortable place, either impromptu, improv, out, or at home. You got a little place. You like to sit, like to stand, like to lie on the floor. And you just close your eyes and you listen for the sound of your own breath. We talk all the time about the BEST acronym. Breathe in, exhale, scan the horizon, take action. So if we're going to meditate, we breathe in, exhale. The scanning of the horizon is what we're feeling in that moment. Everyone wants to experience deep meditation. There's no deep meditation. Meditation is meditation. You either do it or you don't do it. Deep meditation. Yikes. Meditation is simply watching the ducks float by and knowing that you're not the duck. right? You're not the duck. Meditation. I don't know how deep that is. Seeing a commercial pop up right now. Learn deep meditation in just minutes. Shouldn't take you seconds. As soon as you realize you're not the duck floating by, you're not the people coming and going, passing you left and right on the park bench, the traffic going by your house. If you're sitting on the porch, see a car's going by, you aren't those cars. They're just passing you. Like all of our worries, all of our embarrassments, all of our fears, they're just passing us. Do. There they go, floating on by. Oh, and wait, there'll be another one pop up. It'll float by pretty soon. There's your meditation, deep or otherwise. You're not the duck. And as more ducks pop up in your mind, you just give them the permission to just float right on by. See you, duck. Just let them wander around. Just a duck. Might have nice color feathers. Maybe it doesn't, but it's a duck. It's just floating by. Now, I suspect if we had, like the other night when Ashley and I were sitting out, if we had breadcrumbs, we had some kind of food, we could have attracted the ducks over to us. Maybe he or she would have paddled over. Any of the ducks we saw paddled over, gotten some food. I don't know. Not a fan of feeding wild animals. Oh, but I am a fan of watching videos of people that feed wild animals. Then they're stunned.
Oh, I never knew the raccoon would act that way.
It's a raccoon. But in any event, if we had given those ducks attention, they would have stopped floating by and come over. But we didn't. So the ducks just floated on by. Very liberating. No matter what floated by, we knew it was just going to keep right on going. We weren't chained to it like it was a part of us. That's all meditation is. When a thought pops up, you go, let it float by. There it goes. And the more you practice that, the more you practice chopping away at your chains, the easier it becomes. You don't have to worry. Nothing to be embarrassed about. Oh, bro, I don't know if I could stand on a street corner and holler out, it's okay to walk now. Right? Standing underneath the sign that lights, it's not red anymore with the big hand telling you to stop, but standing right underneath the sign. I might just do that today. And when we start the video portion of the show, I'll get myself on camera doing that so you can see some of the looks that I'm going to get. But what does it matter? They're looks. I'm not a pincushion. I'm not all that worried about it. Who knows the experiences that life will unfold if I'm not chained by my worry about being embarrassed? If I'm not chained because I'm afraid to be wrong. It takes a good bit of courage to want to be wrong. But when we do, as I said earlier, it opens up absolutely every avenue to the right in your life. So the next time you think of meditation, next time you think of, all right, I got a couple seconds here, I got a minute or two, I got a little bit of time before this or just after that, just picture the ducks on the river. And as those thoughts pop up, there they go. And you practice it, just like anything else. If we were doing push-ups or sit-ups or we were doing some type of, even like a dance move or a golf swing or bowling, working out a rhythm in any endeavor, we practice it. We just practice it. Give ourselves permission. We're going to be wrong. We might not get the dance step right the first time. We're going to be wrong. But after a bag full of wrongs, we could end up being right. We'll be right back.
You're listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy. How much longer will you let them hijack your head and your heart?
All right, that's the question. How much longer will we let them hijack our head and our hearts? How much longer are we going to hijack our own head and our own heart? Or are we finally going to admit we deserve to be liberated from all the baggage, all the craziness, all the worry, all the concern? We deserve it. You deserve it. We all deserve it. Is today going to be the day where you don't let the duck floating by hijack your head? I mean, it really is that simple. I wish. I wish. Yeah, I just read a great book called The Antidote, Happiness for People Who Can't Stand Positive Thinking. It's a British journalist, Oliver Berkman, I think is the way he pronounces it. And we're going to start highlighting some of the books, some of the, I got bookshelves full of them, or Kindles, iPads full of them. We're going to start highlighting some of those books. So if you're in the mood, and you'll say, oh yeah, I think I'd like to pick up a book like that. And what it talks about is that everyone wants to be optimistic. No one wants to be wrong. Everything's going to be good. Everything's going to be positive. But all natural being, we go, nah, we'll take the good and the bad. We don't even recognize the good and the bad. It just is. It's information. We have to figure out, is that information going to liberate our inner superhuman? Or is it going to further entrap it? And then we know. Is today the day you stop neglecting yourself? Is today the day, even if for 20 minutes, even as I say it, I can hear people going, oh, Bri, I got the coworkers, I got the kids, I got my spouse, my significant other, I got my neighbors, I got my team, I got all these other things. I don't have time for reverence. I don't have time to be my own best friend, to be my own biggest fan. Schedule's too packed. Well, then give yourself 1/72nd of your day. Would you even know how to treat yourself special? Would you know? Now, that's not to say we're taking a 20-minute victory go, I'm going to go buy myself something. No. Is there another way? Right? Without the tchotchke, without the bauble, is there another way? Could you take 20 minutes? Focus on your breath in and out. Focus on the ducks that come up. And then practice just letting them float right on by. Good ducks, bad ducks. Optimistic ducks, pessimistic ducks. Positive, negative, whatever it is, let it float right on by. And the more you practice, either the positive path or the negative path, but the more you practice on the path, the more you become liberated. Because that's the cool thing about it. The moment we work at becoming liberated, as opposed to like chipping away at our chains, the moment we work on liberation, the chains begin magically, right? Mysteriously. Those chains begin to fall away because we hold ourselves in check. And it's easy to look outside to other people and point the finger and go, no, they're the reason that I'm unhappy. They're the reason that I'm this. They're the reason that I'm that. A friend of mine sent me an email yesterday going, you were talking about forgiveness. Good friend of mine. You're talking about forgiveness, but there's just some people that, well, you just can't forgive. They were too cruel. And I thought about it for a second. And here's my question for you. If you continue to relive that pattern of what was done to you in the past, who's cruel now? Oh, that person was very cruel to me. But when you carry it forward into the present, you're being cruel to yourself. And all I'm suggesting is end the cruelty. No more neglecting yourself. Oh, well, she broke my heart. Or, here's one I heard. He just ruined me. No. At the very least, we're co-conspirators in those incidents in our life. And even if we're not a co-conspirator, if we bring it forth into this moment, we're most certainly guilty of continuing to bring that cruelty into the only moment that matters, which is this one right here. Were they wrong? Absolutely. Was it hurtful at the time? Absolutely. Does it benefit you at all to subject yourself to that movie of cruelty in your mind today by just going, I don't care anymore. God love you. Only you will know. For whatever type of abuse, physical, emotional, spiritual, whatever type of abuse you and I have suffered in the past, we continue to be our abusers when we portage it, when we carry it, when we lift those bags and bring them into the now. We do. Now, it'd be great if it was only the things that we could remember that we portage, but we even know subconsciously we have things we drag into the now, things that have happened to us in the past. So at the very least, the things that we're conscious of, when we literally look at it like a duck floating by, there it goes, then its power eventually goes with it. I'm just a fan of the cruelty ending. I'm just a fan of the pain ending. For anyone listening that has that type of pain, why carry the cruelty on another moment further in your mind? Oh, I can forgive, but I'll never forget. Great. I like forgiving and forgetting. I like not giving them any more time of day than they've already had in my past. Another question yesterday about how it is when we go to move out and share our all-natural being with other people. How do we do it? We do it a 20-minute victory at a time. Because we can't tell about the labyrinth that other people are in. But we can show them, lead by example, what it's like when we tap into our all-natural being, when we tap into our inner superhuman. Because our inner superhuman, it's done with the abuse. It's done. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm not trying to, well, I guess I am trying to minimize the pain. So all my question is, even if it's for a 20-minute victory, if we're working on spreading our all-natural being with other people, and we show them that the abuses of the past don't have a focus in the now for us, we do it 20 minutes at a time. It's like baby steps. You and I get to choose in this moment our focus. We go into a dark room, we have a flashlight. I've probably said this before, but it works. Oh, how about this? We're driving in here in the morning. Some of the roads that I take to get here don't have any street lights. So all that's illuminated is what my headlights hit. If I turn left, the path to my left is illuminated. If I turn right, the path to the right is illuminated. Well, we have that same control over the moment. Where we put our attention, where we put our focus, is what our body responds to. So why choose cruelty? Why choose unhappiness? Why? How does it serve you? And as you move forward in teaching other people how to reconnect with their all-natural being, we do it in 20-minute chunks, because sometimes they just can't handle that type of happiness. We don't know about their path in the labyrinth. All we can do is show them our path in the labyrinth. If it dovetails, like we say, starting this segment, if it dovetails, great. If it doesn't, not our labyrinth. All we can do is lead by example. Help where we can. Try not to hurt anyone else. Try not to be cruel to other people. I will tell you that one of the most, everyone's looking, I need a paradigm shift in my life. Walk up and say hello to someone that it looks like no one else speaks to. You'll be able to tell. You'll be able to sense it in the moment. Look them in the eyes and say, hi, how are you? How goes it? What's going on? How goes your day? And you'll see what happens. They'll sense your all-natural being. They'll sense that connectedness. And you don't know if it's going to change their path in the labyrinth. You know it's a part of your path in the labyrinth. And then you'll feel it. And once you begin to feel that connection, all you're really feeling is the connection with the pristine that you and I think about when we talk about it on the show. So it's a great way. People go, well, I need a sign. Great. Find someone. Say hello. Say good morning. Next time you pass someone. You ever get on an elevator and ignore the people around you? Now, I'm not saying you got to get on and kiss babies like you're a politician running for office. I'm not saying you have to give them space in the cup at your sink to put their toothbrush. I'm not saying clean out a space in the drawer for them to move in some of their stuff or give them a square foot in the closet. I'm not saying that. Right? But if we're in a situation and we can afford to be friendly, if we can afford to say good morning or hello, it reminds you of who you are. It reminds you of that connectedness. It liberates you simply by smiling and saying hello to another human being. Right across the street is an insurance company that says you're in good hands. I won't give you the plug, but you know who I'm talking about. Well, you're in good hands when you meet a person that looks like they're having a down day and just smile. I'll tell you, it's fascinating to me. I won't say which one, but one of my children. And sometimes when they get a little agitated, they get in a little rambunctious, let's say. The absolute calming power of sitting right on the floor with them and just doing nothing more than looking into their eyes. We've talked before about the exercise in front of the mirror, looking into your own eyes. How calming that can be. And you wonder about the people that we pass every day that maybe no one looks them in the eyes and says good morning. But that's the true liberation. That's when our chains begin to fall away, because your inner superhuman has no reason to be cruel, has no reason to be mean, has no reason to be an elitist. Oh, well, I'm at a different station in life. Oh, well, I'm just better than they are. And then you wonder why the demons come at night. Why you can't sit alone in a room without freaking out. And I watch it sometimes, especially as the day wears on and they get a little tired. But you sit down, you look him right in the eye. And no matter where he turns, your eyes turn with him. It's a great exercise for him. It's a great exercise for you in the mirror. It's a great exercise for the other people that you'll meet on the street. That in and of itself is a meditation. Everyone wants you to think that meditation, you have to have a pillow and you have to have incense and a nice rug and a mat and you got the perfect clothes and you got to torture your knees and these two fingers have to touch and this wrist has to sit on the knee. That's just one form of it. Meditation is when you go beyond the division that we see all around us. So one of the quickest ways to put a smile on your own face is to put a smile on another. Why is that? It's because your packet of the pristine has reconnected with another packet of the pristine. And even if you use it for your own proof, well, you got that going for you. That you really are a satellite office of the divine. You're here to fulfill your destiny. Not worried about manifesting some future down the road. All these knobs on the internet.
Oh, I drive a Lamborghini.
God love you. Right? You ever wonder about the sense of self that someone that needs to drive a Lamborghini in order to feel like they're anybody? Ever wonder about that pain? You and I don't have to live that way. Tap in your all-natural being. You'd be just as happy being dragged around in what do they call it? Wagons. Right? Don't be one of those that dies years before they begin to dig a hole for you in the ground. That's the lesson of 30 years. My father's philosophical suicide. His inability to liberate himself, keeping himself chained, and the torture that brought. Having an inability to cultivate any sense of reverence for himself. So afraid of being wrong that philosophically it just drained that personal sense of passion from his life. You and I don't need to be that way. I want to just quickly tell you because we're already at the top of the hour, I'm driving in this morning, and there's junk. People wouldn't call it junk, but today is Wednesday, and people will come by and pick up your stuff. So I saw a queen-size mattress set. I saw a TV. I saw a bookcase. I saw a love seat. I saw a pile of stuff. But at some point, all that gear that's now out on the curb, at some point that was important to the people. At some point they used their money or it became a part in their home. But then they outgrew it. They put it out on the curb. So my thought for you today are, what are some of those beliefs, those chains that you condone, that for whatever reason they served a purpose in the time, but now you can throw them out on the curb because today's Wednesday. It's I think that's the term, recycling day. They're going to take this stuff, and instead of putting it in a landfill, which would be, you could say, which would be our subconscious mind, instead of keeping it in a landfill, what could you and I, what trinkets, what thoughts, what abuses of the past, what cruelties of the past could we go, nope, I'm going to put it on the curb. Let's just take them, let them go, recycle it. Important to me, for whatever reason, at some point in my past, now it's a duck floating by in the damn river. Let's go. I'm out. See ya. Here you go. Put it out on the curb. Oh, here comes the big recycling truck now to pick it up. What would you put out of the curb if you didn't want it buried within you anymore? What could you put out on the street so that the recycling truck can come and pick it up and you don't have to deal with it anymore? What chains are you condoning right now that you could put out on the curb? Because when you do, that's when the flukes of life, the serendipity, the coincidences, the synchronicities, all the cool things that living in the labyrinth has for you, when you liberate yourself from that baggage, when you liberate yourself from the embarrassment of being wrong, when you liberate yourself from all that craziness, that's when life, your life, the universal life, all life, begins to unfold. And it's that unfolding that is the root, the deep root of meditation. And you don't need a special cushion for it. All right, we're going to run. Look forward to hanging out with you tomorrow. Don't forget, it's just been the live show, but 11 a.m. Eastern, again at 8 p.m. Eastern, we'll be here on IPMNation.com. Also, stop over to allnaturalbeing.com. Let's trade some emails. We'll go from there. Have a fantastic rest of the day, end of your day, whenever you're listening, and I'm fired up to be hanging out with you tomorrow.
You've been listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy.
Join us live every Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 a.m. Eastern.
Also, check us out around the clock at allnaturalbeing.com.
Until then, always remember to bring your own bold.
All right, I'm going to get that video. I'm going to throw it up of me standing out at a walk sign hollering, "Okay, you can cross now." All right. We'll see you tomorrow.
IPMNation.com.